We are now going to read Dory Phantasmagory, Dory, Dory, Black Sheep, Book 3, Chapter 6. The last time that we read, Dory had gotten to go on a playdate to Rosabel's house, and there she met her brother, Ridley, and took his Batman costume to wear. Chapter 6 is called Little Robert. The first thing Violet says to me when she hears that I lost my clothes is, "Let me guess, Mrs. Gobblecracker took them." "Yup," I say. "She traded them for a frog. I think that's what happened, at least." Then Luke and Violet start to tease me about my costume. They say I have a wedgie. They laugh so hard that they can't get up off the floor. I don't know what a wedgie is, but I can tell it has something to do with my butt. This makes me stop feeling like a superhero. I have to sit down so that Luke and Violet can't keep seeing my butt. I won't get up from the dinner table until I'm sure it's safe. "Aren't you done?" says Luke. "Mom said you could be excused," says Violet. "Rascal, can you just let me help you take off that costume, or are you going to make a super big deal out of it?" calls my mom from the living room. I don't like either choice, so I don't answer. Instead, I wait and wait and wait. From the living room, my mom says, "We should really read together tonight. Remember? 20 minutes?" That's the last thing she says before she closes her eyes. When I'm sure she's asleep and the house is quiet, I sneak upstairs to my room. "Presenting Captain Puff," I say, making the grand entrance I had been planning. Then I fly to the top of my dresser. "Wow!" says Mary. "How did you become Captain Puff?" "Because I had the best playdate ever," I say. "I had a playdate too," says Mary. "How?" I ask. "Gigi came over," she says. "Gigi!" I jump from my dresser. "Did you say Gigi?" "She rang the doorbell," says Mary. "And you let her in?" I said. "She said she wanted to play," says Mary. "What did you play?" I asked. "Well, first she wanted to make coffee, so we did that." "Yeah, and then?" "She drank a lot of coffee, a lot," says Mary. "Okay," I say. "So she got really hyper." "What does that mean exactly?" I ask. "Well, her eyes kind of bugged out and she started talking really fast and running around and touching everything. She banged into a lot of things and then she started doing cartwheels, although she's horrible at them. She couldn't even get her legs up. And then she banged on the piano and sang songs I've never heard of. I think she made them up. They were pretty weird. All night long I looked for my socks. Blood and bones, socks and meat. We think we're stupid, but we're really smart. Chicken glop. Do you remember that slippery tomato? Neither do I. And then she found a huge amount of Post-its in the kitchen drawer, and she ran around and stuck them all over the house, in every room, on the windows, the walls, the furniture, on the phone, everywhere. And she asked for a snack, but she was really picky about everything I offered her. She said she wanted soup, and I said, "We don't have any soup right now." And then she threw a big fit, but in the middle of her fit she got distracted by some crumbs on the kitchen floor, and she started playing with them and talking to them in this very high baby voice, and then all of a sudden she ran upstairs to go to the bathroom. She was gone so long I thought she fell in the toilet, but when I came upstairs to look for her, she was gone. Your bedroom window was open. She must have climbed down the side of the house. I guess that's how she likes to leave. "Where are the Post-its?" I ask. "I cleaned them all up," says Mary, smiling proudly. "Wow, Mrs. Gobblecracker is really a bonkers kid," I say. What did you think?" "It was fun. I loved it," says Mary. "I loved, loved, loved it. Can she come back tomorrow, pretty please, with the chair on top?" "It's Cherry," I say. "I already invited her," says Mary. And then I remember Goblin. I jump up and open the closet. The closet is empty. Oh no. "Where's Goblin?" I ask Mary. "I didn't take him out," she says. "I promise." "Then where'd he go?" "I have no idea," says Mary. It was Gigi, I say, that sheep stealer. I bet she snuck him out the window. I was right. Never trust a gobble cracker. The next morning at school, I tell Rosabelle and George the news. Gigi came to my house, went into my room, and stole my pet sheep. That little thief, says Rosabelle. She's going to put pants on him, says George. Pants, says Rosabelle. Who cares about pants? She could be making lamb stew out of him right now. What do I do? I ask them. This is your chance, rascal, says Rosabelle. You have to use your superhero powers to battle Gigi and save your sheep, she says. Oh, if only you still had the Captain Puff costume. That would be perfect. Look, I say, and unbutton my shirt so they can see. My mom fell asleep and forgot about it. Rosabelle gasps. Oh, you're a genius. That looks really uncomfortable, says George. That afternoon, George can't wait to battle Gigi. He keeps raising his hand and asking if it's quiet reading time yet, and the teacher keeps looking over at the pencil sharpener nervously. When it's finally reading time, George opens his book and says, Captain Puff, you fly over the barn and grab the sheep. I'll do my karate moves on Gigi. Hi-ya! Just as I reach Goblin, I hear a voice. Dory, can you read out loud for me for a few minutes? Asked my teacher. Uh-oh. Dory, are you there? I feel a hand on my shoulder. I'd love to hear you read, says the teacher, who pulls up a chair next to me. Okay, I say. When I read, the words get all crooked up. The words don't make a story. It's the opposite of a story. As I'm reading, I get hotter and hotter and hotter, and my Captain Puff costume feels tighter and tighter underneath my clothes. The teacher writes a whole page in her notebook. Then she pats me on the back and says, Keep practicing. You'll get there, honey. When the teacher's gone, I'm quiet. I don't want to play anymore. You play without me, I say to George. But what are you going to do? George asks. Read? Yes, I say, in a voice so quiet he can't even hear me. That night after dinner, and just before bed, the doorbell rings. I look out the window and I see Gigi standing on the stoop. I take off my nightgown. I'm still Captain Puff underneath. Hi, is Mary home? asked Gigi when I open the door. You little robber! You stole my sheep, I say. I know. It was so fun. I was so sneaky. Nobody saw me, she said. With my super strength, I pick up Gigi. Give me back my sheep or I'll fly you straight out of the universe and leave you there, I say. That sounds kind of fun, she says. So with my super speed, off we go. Yippee! Woo-wee! Says Gigi. Last chance, I tell her. Goblin? Goblin walks right past us. Where is he going? Asks Gigi. Look, I whisper. Is that his family? All those white sheep? It can't be, says Gigi. But when we see how much they love him, we know it is. This is where he belongs. Oh, phooey, says Gigi, and kicks some space dust. Goodbye, I say. Um, can I have a ride back? Asked Gigi. I could just leave her there. But surrounded by the huge blackness of the universe, I notice how little she is, maybe even smaller than me. Yeah, fine, I grumble. That was super weird, says Gigi, sitting on my stoop. Yeah, Goblin was really lost, huh? He's from another planet, says Gigi. I miss him, I say. I sit down next to her. He was the greatest sheep I ever stole, says Gigi. The sky is dark. The stars are out. I take off my mask. What did you want to be when you grow up? I asked Gigi. The biggest robber ever, she says. I can't wait to grow up. I bet my nose will get even longer. I want to live in a cave and wear a long black. Shh! Be quiet for a second, I say. From the stoop, I can hear my parents' voices through the open window in a living room. They are talking about me. Rascal's teacher called today. She says Rascal is going to need extra help with reading, I hear my mom say. I'm not surprised, says my dad, laughing. It's because she never stops talking. How can a person learn to read when they are never quiet for a single second? If she's not talking to us, she's talking to herself. Seriously, says my mom, I'm concerned. Luke and Violet were reading perfectly by the time they were her age. What are we going to do with her? I look at Gigi. I don't want to cry in front of her, but I can't help it. It's okay, she says. I gotta go, says Gigi. Tell Mary we can play another day. All night long I looked for my socks, she sang. Upstairs in my room, after a lot of sweat and a couple of rips, I wiggle myself out of my costume. I put on my nightgown. Without waiting for anyone to tuck me in, I crawl into my bed and fall asleep. The next morning I wake up extra early. One by one I take my favorite books off the shelf. All alone in the quiet of my room, I lie on the floor with my books. As the morning light slowly shines brighter and brighter through my window, I turn the pages and look carefully at the pictures. I look at the words carefully too, and some of the words I read. That was the end of chapter 6. Chapter 7 is called Hide and Seek Tag. We will read that next time. Thanks for reading with me.